I'm joined with John Proust from Japan Gold. John, thanks for joining us.
Steve, great to be here.
It's always great chatting with you. I think that you're one of the great storytellers we have on. Let's start talking about gold here. We're at a precious metals conference. I think it's the best one. It's my favorite of the ones that I go to. Gold hitting all-time highs almost daily here for the last 2 weeks. Obviously, you're CEO of a gold company. What's going through your head when you think about the price of gold?
Well, a whole bunch of things. First of all, great to be here at this conference. Attendees way up, so much enthusiasm across the board, all the way from the large mining companies, the intermediates, the funders. Everybody has got just an extra set of energy here, and we're at altitude, so so that speaks volumes. You know, I think we all want gold to go up, and I'm a gold bull, there's no question. But, we always have to plan, that it might not be that, great trajectory out that hockey stick that everybody hopes for. So I think balancing costs with, an increasing gold price, looking for ways to lower your all-in sustaining cost when you're ultimately moving towards production. That's exactly what we should still be doing here. So we want to enjoy the enthusiasm, celebrate the success and the timing and the luck that comes along with our industry, but also be really mindful of how we can continue to improve our operations and our cost to become even more successful.
So how are the meetings going for you this week as opposed to, say, the previous years when you've done this? Do you feel like interest is picking up?
No question about it. This year we have about 35 meetings, which is, I would say, on par with previous years. But I would say the quality of the meetings and the purpose that people are coming to the meetings really is resonating with me. So in the past, there's sort of general updates and inquiries or education that's being passed along. Now, people have a view in mind, they have goals, there's an immediacy of taking action, and it's exciting because this is sometimes a long game and it's a risky game, but if we can get that extra attention now, that sort of post-COVID attention, I feel like people have sort of brushed off the cobwebs a little bit. And so the higher gold price, great, but I just see a real purpose in the meetings that people are having with us. There's excellent enthusiasm for Japan. There's clearly more and more global instability. So the geopolitical safety of Japan is resonating there. And again, there's fewer and fewer areas in the world where you can find district scale epithermal opportunities that haven't been poked like a pincushion. And so we've been able to assemble at least 2, if not more, districts in Japan that have that underexplored nature, but that have demonstrated very high grade production, gold production in the past. So I think that's really resonating with large companies that are looking to add to their portfolio, but with those kind of attributes, high grade gold and geopolitical safety.
So John, we actually met first time last year at this conference. And after the conference, I remember somebody was sitting on the couch right in front of us, and they yelled at me. They're like, "Steve, what names do you like that you've interviewed?" I said, "Well, we've interviewed probably 30 names. And there was 2 names. I won't say the name of the other one. Their stock is up substantially this year, and I didn't buy. Your stock's up 100% since we last spoke. But you did a great job of just getting me sold on the story. I love what you guys have going on. But there's going to be people who are watching this video, and they're just going through our Beaver Creek playlist. Can you just give them a quick little kind of 2-minute overview for those people?
Sure. Well, Japan Gold is a very unique company. I think the term unicorn might be overused, but I really feel like we are, because we've moved into one of the safest geopolitical countries in the world that has an incredibly rich history of high-grade gold mining that has been basically closed by a government order in 1943 in the Second World War, and has really not reopened its gold mining and exploration industry. So for us to be the first mover into Japan when the Mining Act changed in 2012, for us to move quickly and set up an outstanding permitting process, and then to move quickly, very quickly, with our running shoes on, to acquire the best portfolio of all the key mineral rights across the country. That's been just an opportunity that I think could never be replicated, frankly. And so that's why I say it's the best opportunity I've ever seen in my career. And then not only to do that, but then to have that validated by us going forward now and having majors like Newmont and Newcrest and Barrick all compete to be our partners there. And now a real cadre of additional mining companies wanting to be in Japan with us as well. And then to go forward and to start spending those dollars, evaluating the whole country, and now identifying areas that may have the potential for tier 1 or tier 2 ore bodies. It's really been kind of a dream come true. And so really we're at an inflection point now, because we've done all that preparatory work, this incredible amount of energy and effort and mapping and geology and geophysics and geochemistry. And now we are really drilling for reinforcement and for discovery. And any of our investors know that we've really de-risked this opportunity by not only Barrick's expertise that's at the table. Newmont is a large shareholder for the company. Cisco Gold Royalties, who's provided capital to us in an environment where they wouldn't generally offer capital to a company that's at the stage that we're at now. They made that exception. But then we also have 63% of our shares that are held by 12 large international institutions, including Equinox partners, who have now just gone over the 30% threshold in a recent small equity placement that continues to support us. So we've got all the building blocks there. We're also funded. So Barrick fully funds their operations. Not only does Barrick fully fund their operations, we've raised those Cisco dollars, so now we're deploying those dollars on the projects that are outside the Barrick Alliance. We just announced our first drill program commencing yesterday. And then in addition to that, we have that financing that we just completed, which gives us a good runway for the next year to start really unlocking these various prospects and targets that we have.
So I've asked you this before. I still just find it to be an interesting question, which is in terms of Japan. The junior mining investor doesn't hear Japan very often. Right. And I just sort of think high level, if I had conversations with people about it, they kind of roll their eyes like, oh, you're not going to get anything done there. And then my favorite thing about the story that I tell people is, well, Newmont seemed to think it was a good idea. Barrick seemed to think it was a good idea. And here we have this little, 12-cent stock that we've got some pretty major companies that I think are terrified that you actually find something and they don't have a piece of it.
Right. Look, I think what you're saying is accurate, Steve. I think when you move into a country as a first mover, it does take a lot of effort and energy to get you where you need to get to. But the last 12 months have really demonstrated to me how receptive Japan is to us being there, and the potential for us to be successful by the team that we've continued to assemble. And I'll give you an example. We've reduced our cost by 40% by going to Japan and showing them how efficiency really can be put together. They're very efficient, but from a Western perspective, how efficiently we can be active in the country. So that's a really important piece. In addition to that, we've got our teams moving forward on our projects now from a permitting standpoint. And we've been able to shorten a permitting process that would have taken maybe 2.5 years down to less than a year, 10 or 11 months, which is incredibly competitive globally and perhaps faster than other areas as well. So all the stakeholders are kind of embracing and lining up with this new opportunity of restarting the industry in Japan. And again, that really helps bolster us to do that quickly and deliver results for our investors.
So you guys recently initiated drilling at the Mizobi project. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so the Mizobi project's got a really interesting history. The Mizobi project is situated south of the Hishikari mine. It's 23 kilometers south of the Hishikari mine. It has a very similar setting to the Hishikari mine. It's in an area that has a thin veneer of volcanic cover, just like the Hishikari mine area does as well. So nothing's really poking out of the ground, but we've been able to find strategic windows in that area that gives us sort of a little view. And what we're finding is significant amounts of gold and antimony in the area. And it really looks promising. Now, initially, Barrick evaluated that project with 7 holes that we're just trying to establish the scale of it, and it's a very large scale. Um, the style of mineralization that we encountered may not have fit the mold that they were looking for their style of deposit. However, what it demonstrated to us was that we really are at the top of an epithermal system. And what we need to do now that we have that project 100% and we're using our Cisco dollars to drill it, is to drill deeper, because that's where the goal should be. So we just announced our program. We're drilling holes under the perimeter holes to really look for that better indication of higher grade gold and other elements that are there as well. And it's not lost on us the antimony that's in the area as well, because that does have strategic value. And so we've got our own thesis about antimony and how that might be advanced.
So, how much drilling are you guys conducting this year?
Yeah, so on that project alone, we'll be doing about somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 meters. We always permit for success, Steve. So when we're planning 4 holes. So we've got 4 holes that we're going to be drilling. And we'll announce the results of the first 2, I would say, in November, the second 2 in January, just to kind of keep our activity moving forward. But we always permit. So I think we've permitted for 10 holes there. Okay. So any success, if we're seeing something interesting, our drill rigs are going to continue on, and we're going to continue drilling there as well. So we've got that. But in the background, our VP of Exploration is lining up the pipeline for additional projects for us to drill. And the way he's doing that is advanced geophysics that help really focus our drilling. And then our drilling applications go in, and then we get ready to move on those as well. And then finally, we're being mindful of seasonality. So whatever we have to do up in Hokkaido before the end of December, we'll do that before the snow flies. And then we recognize down south in Kyushu, we can operate there all year round. So we're making it all fit very seamlessly and continuously through our calendar.
Now, I want to bring this up because you mentioned it last year, but my understanding is that there's one operating gold mine in all of Japan right now.
Yes.
And tell our audience about what the grades on that look like.
So there's only one operating gold mine in Japan, and it's the Hishikari gold mine. It's owned by Sumitomo Metal Mining. And what's fascinating about this is this mine is located in southern Japan in the island of Kyushu, but it was a blind discovery. It was actually discovered accidentally when the Metal Mining Agency of Japan, which is like the Geological Survey, was drilling a vertical drill hole to measure the thickness of the young volcanic rocks and where the older basement rocks were. So they drilled down 200 meters, and when they hit the basement, that's where they accidentally discovered what is now the Hishikari mine, a 14 million ounce ore body, where they've already mined 9 million of those ounces at an average grade of 30 to 40 grams per ton. Not only that, it's very shallow, 200 to 300 meters is where these veins are located. And these are quartz veins. So they're epithermal quartz veins that have gold situated in the veins. It's visible gold that you can see. It's amazing. And what they do is they blast these veins. They take the vein material up a ramp to the surface, and then it goes on a big long conveyor belt. It's hand sorted. So anything that is sort of the wall rock and vein material gets taken off. That's about 10%, but 90% of it goes right off the end, doesn't even get processed. So it moves right off into trucks, and ultimately it ends up at the Sumitomo Metal Mining smelter. Now that smelter needs an essential component is called flux, which is the silica or quartz from the vein. So it's the quartz is waste in the vein, but it's actually valuable in the smelter, and then they can just stream off the gold in that process. That allows that mine, the Sumitomo Hishikari mine, to have an all-in sustaining cost of approximately $500 an ounce, as opposed to the global average, which is about $1,500 an ounce. What the benefit to Japan Gold is that all the projects that we're looking at are the same style of mineralization. And there are a number of copper smelters like the Sumitomo smelter that require that silica, that silica flux, and don't have any domestic supplies. So they would love to have new, secure domestic supply from Japan Gold, from either us restarting a historic mine, one of 47 across our portfolio, or opening a new mine. And so we would then get the material out of the ground, we'd send it through directly to their smelter, and they would recover 90 to 95% of the gold that they would return back to us. So all our all-in sustaining costs would be able to reflect similar numbers to the Hishikari gold mine, which is $500 an ounce. So it's an extraordinary opportunity. It's a great analog that just gives us an example of what's in Japan and what's concealed under that thin veneer of volcanic ash. And so that's what we're there to do now, is to exploit that whole region that we control 84% of, to try and find the next Hishikari.
Just for our audience to hear this, these are some of the highest, I imagine it's got to be amongst the top dozen in terms of like major mines for grades in the world.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Hishikari is known as being one of the highest, if not the highest, tier 1 gold mine in the world, with the grades of in excess of 30 grams per ton consistently. 9 million ounces have been mined already, and they've still got reserves of 5 million ounces.
So last question for you. If I'm an investor watching this story and I have you guys on my, just sort of, I got a tracking sheet. I want to know what I should be watching out for over the next year. What am I looking out for?
Absolutely. Good question. Steve, look, there's several different things. Number one is we drilled Barrick's last project north of the Hishikari mine, and those results will be delivered shortly. So that'll be the first thing. We've already announced that we've started drilling at our own project. We know that those drilling results should come out in November, the first drilling results from there. In addition to that, we're constantly, as a project generator, we're constantly talking to other mining companies, large mining companies, mid-tier companies that want to get into Japan, because we'd like to use their expertise and their dollars, frankly, to propel our portfolio forward. We've done a lot of preparatory work that's really getting them more and more enthusiastic. And so I'm optimistic that we might be able to bring additional partners in to Japan fairly quickly to really unlock more of the district scale opportunities.
All right, well, John, I love chatting with you, and I think that this is going to be a great story over the next year. So thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. Nice to see you, Steve. We'll talk again soon.